We're live at the Sportsnet Grill at the Marriott City Center. NFL kickoff just days away. It's time for the Sports Interaction preview show, the betting edition. Gentlemen, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the offensive rookie of the year. A lot of great odds, a lot of great quarterbacks. Two in particular that they're saying this is the class, but I know there's more than just Williams versus Daniels. Prince, we'll start off with you. A couple of long shots here in the rookie category.
I know this might sound like a homer pick, just given how close we are. I like Keon Coleman on the Bills. Like, they lost Diggs, they lost Davis. They don't really have much of a receiving core outside of Kincaid. You know, Knox is there. And then I see Curtis Samuel's out for a few weeks to start the year. MVS is down. So Keon Coleman, I mean, that's a guy that can probably be Josh Allen's favorite target by the time we get to middle end of the season. I mean, we saw a rookie almost win it last year with Puka Nacua. Obviously, C.J. Stroud took it. But if we're taking long shots here, I like Keon Coleman here because you never know, right? We saw Puka almost break the record last year. Keon Coleman, someone's got to catch a ball.
You know what it is, too? It's addition by subtraction. I don't care how good Diggs is. He's like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. Now they have a bunch of guys. Shakir's the possession receiver. I agree. I think Kincaid's going to be huge. It's up to Coleman. He's a very special talent coming from Florida State, but I got no problem with that. I think the Bills receivers are going to be better than people think.
Yeah, but Josh, isn't this a quarterback award? Doesn't it look like that's what it's going to be? As chalky as that might sound.
But that helps the market, right? If you're going somewhere else, everyone's pushing market, especially in the preseason with Williams and Daniels really pushing up the ladder. So it kind of gives you value on the other side. I mean, if Marvin Harrison wins, is anyone really going to be surprised if he goes for 1,500 yards in Arizona? But I'll go, you want a dark horse? Let's go 100-1 Michael Penix Jr., right?
Whoa.
I love it.
It's nuts though, right?
That's
Like
bold.
everybody's assuming that Kirk Cousins is just going to come back. New offense. He hasn't done anything in the preseason. All of a sudden, you look at Atlanta, indoor offense, great. Now progressive offense, now that Arthur Smith's finally gone, right? They have one of the easier schedules in all of football. 4 tough teams, top 10 teams. They play them all, 3 of the 4 in the first 4 weeks. That's Kirk Cousins territory. If he gets hurt and injured, and you're telling me Penix Jr. gets to run from week 5 on, he'll be right in that hunt. And then you add the injury risk with Williams, obviously, and Jaden Daniels.
What about Heineke mufflers, though? They got a quarterback who's basically a third string. I thought they were going to deal him, and then Penix can go second. But at that price, John, that's a great play.
Thank you very much.
Okay, one final play before we go into the defensive side of things, because I know the two of you are really on a strong tight end with the Las Vegas Raiders. Do you look at a tight end winning this sort of thing, even though Brock Bowers seems to be the guy?
If Brock Bowers went to the Jets, Dave, your team, I would have actually smashed this bet. The problem is, throwing the ball with the Raiders. But for people that know Brock Bowers at Georgia, he's a special talent. He's not a tight end. He's basically a receiver that could do it all. And you know what? Eventually, they're going to have to throw the ball around. I really like him. I think the price at 28-1 is good. I just really wish he went to your Jets, Dave, and then I'd smash it. But I'll still take it at that price. You know what? Bowers is a special talent. Got to bet it.
And if you're going to take a tight end, you might as well tie him to crappy quarterback play anyway, right? He's not going to run deep routes. And what shows me within the organization that they drafted Michael Mayer last year with high capital and then reached out for, again, with Bowers here, that they're going to like him. And Antonio Pierce isn't really a progressive coach, going to run the ball a lot. So expect the tight ends to get in with probably a lot of heavy sets.
Let's go to the defensive side of the ball here. Defensive Rookie of the Year, a Viking linebacker, Dallas Turner out of Alabama, is the favorite, plus 400. All three of you are kind of on that as well, but we have a lot of other options. Prince, I really like what you sent me about the Los Angeles Rams and what they have, because it is an Aaron Donald-less team. And that's going to kind of feel weird just to see Aaron Donald not in the middle of everything that happens, but perhaps this guy is their future.
Yeah, Braden Fisk, right now, plus 3,500. You never know, right? 6'4", 260 pounds. He used to play rugby, which is pretty crazy. So he's stepping into that Aaron Donald role. And what I saw, it's hard not to buy into the stuff you read on Twitter about the training camps, all that. It's so hard.
Yeah, that's the whole problem. You know who's leading right now in the preseason? Numbnuts, Mac Jones.
Exactly.
That guy reeks. I wouldn't put him on my flag team.
It's hard to ignore that stuff, but I saw Aaron Donald was at Rams training camp. He kind of gave this guy the stamp of approval. He's going to start week 1. Rams always seem to draft well. I think that's kind of how they always seem relevant in the playoff contention. So I think he slides into that Aaron Donald role. He's probably not going to be Aaron Donald. I don't want to sit here and get clipped up. This guy's the next Aaron Donald. But there's a chance.
Did we get that? Did we get that? No.
You know, I don't want that clipped out, but he's sliding into that role. He's gotten the green light from Aaron Donald. Rams usually draft well. Stud defensive player. I like it as a long shot.
You know what, Prince? I am going to go with that. We call him Aaron Donald Light in Seattle. Byron Murphy II at 14-1. Let me tell you, this Texas Longhorn, a Seahawk fan as a kid, ripping up the preseason. I get it. This McDonald team is going to be different, Dave. I'm telling you, the Seahawks are going to surprise people. Their defense is going to be a hell of a lot better. It's hard to give it to a defensive tackle, but this guy's special, and they're already talking about Aaron Donald Light. I know it's a lot to say, but I've watched this guy. He has a motor that never stops. He's going to be one of the biggest shockers. I know you usually give it to a corner or somebody else, but I'm going to go 14-1 with my boy, Byron Murphy. And Dave, you know how much I rip the Seahawks. They're my team, but this year I'm high on them. I love Murphy.
Jingles.
Oh, jeepers. That's a tough act to follow, as it always is with Cam.
Oh, sorry.
But no, you stop it. It's always great to see you, bud. But we got to go edge. I think you pretty much got to go edge. Well, you're certainly not going linebacker, and we saw like Dallas Turner's more like of a hybrid guy on the outside. Pretty wild to think that he was playing in Alabama with Will Anderson just 2 seasons ago. But Miami, they lost Jalen Phillips and Chubb, both of their right outsides in their 3-4, right? Both of their edge guys. Chop Robinson comes in 16-1, just came out. They had their practice versus Tampa Bay. Tristan Wirfs, fresh off that 5-year, $140 million contract, says this kid's special. There's a lot to like about it. And I kind of like pairing an edge rusher with an explosive offense in Miami because we've seen what they do at home. They can get up 20 points. What's that do to the other team? Puts him in passing downs, lets him have some more reps. And that's the thing with rookies. They're not going to see a lot of running downs sometimes, these guys, but the more passing downs that they have, the more rush opportunities they have, obviously the better spot. So 21st pick at Penn State, I'll take that at 16-1.
Awesome. Let's move on to some win totals. The four of us got some interesting win totals, some opposing ones too. Cam, let's start off with you.
Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely. The Saints, you're not a believer in the Saints. You have them under the 7.5 wins. Why is that, considering how shit that division is?
It's horribly. It's more than shit. But Atlanta, I think, is going to win the division. I'm going to tell you something, Dave. I've done some crazy bets with people. They gave me Carolina 5 flat. If the Panthers win like over 5 games, I'm loaded. If they don't, I'll be sleeping on your couch. But I'm going to tell you this. I think the Saints reek. I think Carr sucks. And I'm going to tell you another. You know what? Also, they're thin at every position. I'm not going to say they have good players, but if they get hurt, they had problems with the cap already. I made a bet on the Saints at 22-1 to be the worst team in the National Football League. I will take them under 7.5. It is my biggest totals bet. I'm standing by it. I think Carolina can win 6 or 7. I think the Saints win like 4 games, 5 games this year. I think the Saints reek. Sorry, New Orleans fans. I like the team. I just think they stink.
Josh, you're a believer in the Saints to a certain extent.
Oh, you are? Wow.
No,
a lot of people disagree with me.
No, but
This is what we're here for.
I know it's an indoor team. And
They
what
got
I
to get
like
to
about-
8 wins.
I know that's it.
That's it.
And that's it. It really is. And I mean, we're seeing
Have you
what
seen their schedule? Take a look. It's
They
hard.
got the Panthers twice.
It doesn't matter. The Panthers are better now, Dave. I mean, see, I'm going to live and die with the Panthers. They're mean cats. Come on.
Clevy T has them as the 31st at a 32 as the second easiest schedule in all the football. Right?
I disagree with that, though. I looked at the
That's fine.
schedule.
I get it, but I think we downgrade Derek Carr too much. He's a guy who stays healthy. We're starting to finally see who was the offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael.
Yep.
Right? Like they've had the situation. They've had that same offensive coordinator in that system as long as Drew Brees is here. So I sometimes don't like the idea of bringing in new talent with
Josh, other than their division, tell me who they got though.
Carr.
I want to go through the schedule and tell me like they got hard games. Like it's not. I looked at their schedule and I like said at best I give them like I mean if they overachieve it's 7. I don't understand how it's
Dallas, Philadelphia, KC in 3 of the first 5. Right?
Okay, that's over. Yeah.
No, well, they got Carolina to open it. They got Atlanta there.
Carolina's going to win that game outright.
You know what? The Saints are the type of team, though,
It's a light schedule at the end that goes LA Rams,
You're right.
Giants, Washington, Green Bay, the Raiders, and Tampa Bay. So they can clean it up, but things can get ugly early. So,
Okay, Prince, are you a believer in Derek Carr?
No. I'll be honest. I had some fantasy receivers with Derek Carr over the years. So you kind of just learn. You learn by pain. I'm not a believer in Derek Carr.
Okay, your best win total. What is your number one over or under that you were betting on this NFL season?
I'm gonna go over for the Chargers. It's at 8.5. Last year they had 8 games that they lost by 7 or less points. Obviously, we knew Brandon Staley's a moron. They had one of the worst coaches. We've seen some terrible coaching decisions over the years. Now they bring in Harbaugh. Obviously, they lost a couple receivers. They lost a couple offensive studs. I just feel like they lost so many close games last year that you swing a few in the right direction and it's 8.5. Obviously, they're not going to win the division. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to beat the Chiefs. But they have 2 games against the Broncos. Unfortunately, those are probably going to be wins. Sorry for Sean, big Broncos fan over there. They got 2 games against the Raiders. Those are, coin toss. They take one of those 2. And now we have a decent schedule too. I'm going to go with the Chargers over 8.5 here.
Good news is, too, Harbaugh's attention to detail was never a Chargers' strength. How many times, every time you bet a Charger game, you tease it if they're a dog, because it's coming down to the last play, which they usually screw up and lose. Right, Dave?
Yep.
So I got to believe they're going to clean up some simple things with Harbaugh.
Josh, are the Chargers the number 2 team in the West?
By default.
Yeah, basically, right? Yeah. But where else do you go?
I mean, when you look at outside the Chiefs, the Chargers might be the smartest kid at summer school. That's how I look at that division.
Like even with the talent they have, even with the question marks with Justin Herbert coming out, you're still I'm not going to downgrade them to 3. They're not going to like how many? If you had to choose 3 teams, probably putting Vegas in the worst record of all football somewhere in there. Denver could fall on their face, absolutely. It's still Sean Payton town, and we haven't seen anything there, right? So it's absolutely by default. I don't like them very much this year. I don't know how much you'll get out of, obviously, new head coach and so many changes within that, and Justin Herbert's injury, but in that same sense, second's kind of maybe a layup in that spot.
Before we move on to the next category, I'm going to get the 3 of you to answer this in, let's just say a sentence. The sexiest team right now on the futures market, the Detroit Lions. There's a lot of money going to the over. Are you on that train?
I am, and I don't want to be chalky. Restore the roar. Lions to win the Super Bowl too, Dave. Give me 12 claws.
You took this to another level.
I have.
They should have been in the Super Bowl.
They
should have been in the Super Bowl.
They should have beat the damn 49ers. We were there, Dave.
Yeah,
we were there.
Prince?
Well, remember week 1 last year, they beat the Chiefs. So you make the Super Bowl, then that game's a little bit closer than people think. It was weird. I remember after the season, I don't know if you guys remember, Dan Campbell did a press conference where he was really emotional. He's like, this may be the last time we ever get this far. And it was just really weird for a team that reached this level of success for him to say that. I thought that was really, really bizarre, along with some of the decisions he made in that game.
The decision part.
The thing about the
He's going for it again. He's going for it, but you said that.
8.5 is good. Now the Vikings don't have J.J. McCarthy, who would eventually be starting for Sam Darnold. Chicago's got Caleb Williams, who people are like, oh, he looks great in the preseason. Who cares? So does Sean McCormick's Bo Nix. Hey, Bo, how you doing? I'll tell you something, man. I'm with you. That whole division, the Detroit Lions, Dave, I think they're going to win 12. They're going to win 12 games, aren't they?
You on the Lions as well? And by the way, that division's a sneaky secret.
It's a great division.
The Vikings are going to take a little bit of a step back because of the quarterback injury. You feel bad for them, but the Bears are on the uphaul. The
Packers are good.
You're right. The Packers are probably looking in that same conversation as the Lions, going, "Yeah, we should have been a little bit further too in the postseason, especially what Jordan Love did in the last 8 games of the year."
Yeah, last 8 games. What did he do in the beginning? He was one of the worst quarterbacks at the beginning of the year. He struggled. I mean, they had a lot of injuries, obviously, to the wide receiver group. I'm not buying into.
He's a popular pick. Do you see? I was actually talking to people. Regression for Love.
Yeah, absolutely. He's at the peak for sure. Yeah. But Detroit. So things about Detroit. Ben Johnson, offense coordinator. Yep. How he didn't get a job is absolutely insane.
It's almost like he didn't want to.
Exactly. So you keep everything the same. Head coach, offensive coordinator, and Jared Goff, who quietly has started 34 straight games. Now you have arguably maybe the best indoor offense that gets 14 games this year indoors or in nice events. First 7 games indoors, favored by 3 or more in 6 of those. They're coming hot out of the gates. They can probably weather some injuries. Sewell, little injury concern right now, and obviously some depth now issues at the wide receiver. But when you have the smartest offensive coordinator in the system, let's hope.
How many
Jahmyr
wins?
Gibbs.
12?
What's that?
Can we give him 12?
I think this is a spot where it's square, but you can go alt on the over for plus money at 12.
There you go. Division leaders. One of the teams I want to focus on in this conversation. A lot of Super Bowl money and love coming in on the Baltimore Ravens. Are we convinced the Baltimore Ravens win that division, considering that Joe B is back, and I am heavy on the Bengals to win that division. Jingles, you're up.
Same, the exact same. Everything went right basically for Baltimore last year. Mike McDonald, heartbeat of that team, gone. They lost Patrick Queen. Jadeveon Clowney, like their pass rush, and they're not getting 60 sacks this year. They had the biggest point differential in football last year. Not going to see it. You could see some issues, obviously, with Lamar. He was pretty good last year, obviously MVP, but injuries are a big concern. Talk about Joe coming out last year. I'm so happy you're on Joe. Calf injury right out of training camp. Horrible start, 1-3, and then all of a sudden starts to run the table. Knocks off San Francisco, knocks off Buffalo in back-to-back weeks, and that's when you start to build the thing. And then obviously the injury, wrist injury in Baltimore. This is a team that can go far. They had one of the worst defenses last year. Secondary is brutal, but if that improves, this team could easily win 11.
I think Cleveland
11 games.
offers value at plus 550. It depends on Watson. Like, it's just one of those things. I look at Cleveland and go, they have the best offensive line. They got a great running back. Just don't screw it up. I think that division, Dave, I don't know how you feel. I think, like, literally games are going to be separated by, like, one. Like, that division, to me, is just it's a dog's breath. It's tough. Like, it is very, very difficult.
9-8 straight up with Jake Browning starting 7 games last year for the Bengals,
Good call.
right?
Interesting, yeah, exactly.
You concerned about Jamar holding out, though? They're saying he might skip the season a little bit here to get
He
paid.
can skip the season. That's fine.
Really?
It's Mike Gesicki season. Yeah, no one's calling for him, but he fits in that system well. You're going to see new offensive coordinator. Their quarterback coach from last year is going to run in, start calling some different plays. So we're going to see maybe more heavier sets. Probably see Jamar Chase when he comes back in more of a toolsy role. Get him the ball. And, I mean, the running back situation,
Not bad.
it's pretty sexy.
Prince, let's move to the South. A lot of money on the Texans right now, but you're a Jaguars believer.
I do believe, they were there last year. A lot of cats in this league. I don't know. I think the Jaguars were a team that a lot of people had high hopes for last year. They had a really close game with the Chiefs early in the season. They beat the Bills. We all know when they go to London, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. And then Trevor Lawrence got hurt in that game against the Bengals, and they were up in that game. So they battled a ton of injuries last year. They're bringing back pretty much the same team. So I think the Jaguars, there's a bit of value there. Everyone's going to say Texans. You got C.J. Stroud, the Colts, Richardson. This is going to be one of the more intriguing divisions in football. I think the Jaguars are going to shock some people.
Josh, when we talk about regression in previous conversations, are you pointing at the Texans and saying regression, considering that
I'm just not buying at the top of the market.
everything went well for them last year, right?
Yeah, I'm not buying the top of the market on anything they have, right? Like, I know there's lots of sharp people calling them, saying, I'm not buying the juice, but I see them as contenders. Okay, you beat up Joe Flacco in round 1, right? Like, everything went well. This is a league of adjustments, right? Defensive coordinators are smart. They have a lot of tape on them now. Obviously, a great talent. Obviously, there's a ton of offensive talent there. So we'll see. But I'm just not buying it at any of the prices because everything's inflated.
Agree. What do we think about the Colts? Like, they're one of the most mysterious teams out there.
That's a
we
real
never saw Richard. Like,
Look what's happened in
what do you think about the Colts?
like, look what happened in Philadelphia without Shane Steichen.
Yeah.
Like, things have gone quite south in Philly without him. So
Steichen's a wicked coach.
he is, and if he can keep A-Rich healthy, then that team's going somewhere.
I agree.
And Jonathan Taylor's back fully healthy.
And exactly, but the quarterback position is a big deal. They don't really have that safety blanket they had last season. But let's move on and talk about a team that you just mentioned, the Philadelphia Eagles. There's some Eagles money out there right now. Prince, you are on the Cowboys in that division.
Pure delusion, but I think pure delusion.
It is a 2-horse race considering what's offered below those two teams. But Cam, why the Eagles?
I like the Eagles too, and it's kind of like process of elimination. I just think I look at these teams. I think Dallas is actually going to have regression, Dave. I think they're going to actually lose. Like, I have their 10.5 under. I think Washington, on the other hand, is going to go over 6.5. But if you look at the Eagles, there's just one of those situations where things really fell apart. Hurts was hurt. That game against Tampa Bay, they looked listless. Like, they quit. It was actually embarrassing watching that football game. But I think Philly's got a new attitude now. I just think you look at the number, it's actually fair. I don't know how you feel about it, Josh, but I'm very down on every team, and I think Washington improves. If I'm down on the Cowboys, I got to take the Eagles.
Yeah, you look at what Dallas is outside of at home and indoors. Yeah. They're just not they're the Miami Dolphins on the other side of the league, right? They just don't play well. So Eagles, I'd take Eagles minus 125. I'd like 30 points on the Eagles on this side. And you talk about that loss versus Tampa Bay. You don't think that's bothering Jalen Hurts, who, I mean, there's obviously talk about him reaching out to Wink Martindale, the Giants coordinator, right? And trying to be like, what's up with how are you stopping this offense? And so they're talking about there's issues with it, you know what I mean? Like, they think that they're trying to make a story out of it. If it was in Dallas, it'd be a bigger story than it is right now. But this is a team that wants to win. This is a team that has won. Going into December, Jalen Jalen Hurts was the betting favorite for the MVP. Like him at 16-1 this year. This is a team that gets Kellen Moore, who knows the division in the OC. They didn't give him really a crack in the Chargers. So I really like the Eagles this year, and I think they can go all the way.
That defense is just a concern, though. You know,
100%.
they got carved up by the Buccaneers last year. I remember there was a game with the Cowboys, too, where CeeDee Lamb torched them as well. Talk about CeeDee Lamb as well. Like, hopefully this contract situation gets figured out. I know we're a few weeks away, but when that guy's on the field,
The Dallas Cowboys, their problem, though, is they're always hurt. Like, I can't expect these guys. It's the same situation. Some big players going to get hurt, and their defense isn't that great either. I think they're terribly overrated.
They got Zeke at number 1. Right? That's right.
that won't last
I just
very
Philadelphia
long.
has a lot.
fast offense.
Yeah.
Rico better touch the ball a couple of times this season. Okay, one-word answer before we move on to the conferences. Better team in the division, Giants or Commanders?
Commanders.
Commanders.
No Giant love, eh?
Daniel Jones.
Love them commies, Dave. Get on board.
Let's stay in the conference with the NFC. We talked about some of our favorites within the division. A lot of this is parlayed into what we actually like for our conference champion. Right now, the 49ers, heavy favorites to come out of there. The Lions are receiving a lot of love. The Eagles are receiving some love. Prince, take us off the board, off the top 3. What is your dark horse team in the NFC conference?
It'd probably be the Packers, just because they were so close to doing it last year. I know you mentioned some regression for Jordan Love. He just got that big contract, so you see a lot of guys maybe trail off. I think it's a prove-it deal. A lot of people looked at that money and go, "What? You know, why is this guy getting so much money?" I think there's talent there, and they brought in some cool key pieces. Josh Jacobs had a tough year last year, 2 years ago. He was a pretty decent running back. He's got tread, but they got a couple pieces there.
But Aaron Jones had tread as well.
He did,
right?
yeah.
I mean, we're kind of looking at a swappage that we sit there and go, okay, you know what? That's fair.
Aaron Jones could do more things in different situations.
Catch the ball out of the backfield, yeah.
They still got Dylan as well, and then Xavier McKinney coming in on that secondary. Also, Christian Watson, who was a really underrated receiver in his first year, battled a ton of injuries this year. Yeah,
Might be
fantasy
the best
football
group in
yeah.
wide receiver.
No offense, Dave. Your boy Aaron Rodgers threw these young receivers under the bus, and Love is basically saying, you know what, I can work with these guys. Sorry, AR.
Well,
Get with the
one's a
program.
Hall of Famer and one isn't. Josh, we're looking for
For
dark
now.
horses.
Dark horses. I don't know. This is probably going to get Cam all excited, but Seahawks 30.
Keep talking, friend.
Okay, don't
I'm
stop.
listening.
He says, don't stop. But the move, Pete Carroll's out, right? Finally, right? And you got to give Pete Carroll some credit for what he's done in football over, 75, 76. He's not,
young.
it's insane how young he looks. Anyway, they get the best head coach from the changeover from last year to this year, Mike McDonald, who is going to bring in an absolute juggernaut of a defensive scheme within a division who defense can win you some games, right? We already talked about San Francisco might be a little overvalued in where they are. I think that, they can beat the Rams. They can beat Arizona, 2-spot, get into the playoffs and make some noise because of hopefully what that offense is, what that defense is. And all of a sudden, they get the offensive coordinator from Washington who ran a lot of 11 personnel with Roman Dunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McKillen was the third guy drafted out of that, went to Tampa Bay. So if there's a team that can run that 3-wide receiver set now with one more season under the belt for JSN, I think they can make some noise.
Let me throw out one team to the three of you.
Uh-oh.
The Atlanta Falcons at plus 1,100. Division winners will have a nice high seed in the postseason. We're not sure exactly who's going to start, but I think you look at both options as really good options. I think you're going to utilize a tight end that hasn't been utilized since he was drafted. You're going to get a decent defense, a new head coach, which is addition by subtraction with Arthur Smith leaving. Are you buying the Atlanta Falcon possibility of a long shot here, Jingles?
So, absolutely hate Arthur Smith. I'm so happy he's in Pittsburgh this year so I can finally cheer for Mike Tomlin not to win and Russell. Like, that group is like the villain, the heel of the entire league. So I'm so excited. Arthur Smith's gone. Starting to get a little progressive within that offense. And yes, Kirk Cousins, we already touched on it. Even if it doesn't, they spend obviously massive capital for Michael Penix Jr., who could also run that offense. He was getting all the reps with the ones, so the fallback's good. The schedule, again, from last year, I know all the Sharps were on the over last year, and they kind of got soft. A lot of that could be attested to what that offense did. Arthur Smith not using those pieces that you mentioned. Another easy schedule this year, indoor team. They're not the hardest team, but they can play some soft indoor games.
Yeah.
Who's going to win that division other than them? Like, I'm just looking at it going, no. Yeah. It's like, it's them.
Bear love.
No.
Any bear love?
Do the
No bear love? No?
What's the thing?
Little
This
bit?
is the thing that Caleb does? The
A little
club?
bit?
He's going to be good. I just, 8.5 wins was pretty crazy for the Chicago Bears. I mean, it's this guy's going to come in, Caleb Williams. He's going to do some crazy things this year. There's going to be a lot of highlight plays, some social media go crazy. They're not going to win a lot of games. It's still the Chicago Bears. They're not better than the Packers. They're not better than the Lions. And the Vikings, it's a
They're anointing this guy already. It's the preseason. As I said before, we're talking about Mac Jones looking great. Bo Nix looks like he's slaying everybody. Wait till the regular season. We'll see, Dave. It's a whole different ball game.
If I had to set Caleb Williams' game started line, I'd go 14.5 juice to the over.
Interesting.
I'd build around 15. Just the way he moves. Just watch this last preseason game. Made some great throws. He was awful in the first half. Did make some great throws. Him and Roman.
You're saying you think he's going to get hurt?
What's that?
He's going to get hurt?
Yeah, he's going to.
I
He's
kind of got
have
that
to.
vibe too.
It's too tough the way he plays. He's going to step in the pocket. He's going to put his foot somewhere where it doesn't belong, and he could have a serious injury.
Dave, he was hurt at USC too. Let's remember those games too. And in big games, they fell short. I just think people are anointing him too quick.
100%.
We'll see.
He's the highlight reel player. I
He
think
is
that's
the-
why people love it. He's
a sexy guy. That's what he is. And we love sex. AFC conference. AFC conference where I know you've heard this song and dance from me before, but I am on the Jets to win the conference. I think there's really good value.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a very healthy Aaron Rodgers with a very good offense. We're going to see Breece Hall, second year off of surgery, a top 5 defense. I don't know, Josh. I'm not saying that they're the only part of it, but I think it's a really good value play on the New York Jets.
For sure. And then you look at the path to get somewhere within that conference, probably going to have to play some cold outdoor games. That defense can win them some playoff games. 7-10 with Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, and Tim Boyle.
Yes.
It's the same idea.
TB12.
Mr. Boyle.
All you need is average quarterback play with the Jets to
Will
get to
Aaron
10,
Rodgers
11
get through
wins.
the
That's
season?
it. But that's it. That's all you need. Average quarterback play. That defense is absolutely unstoppable, and it's dangerous.
I like the Bills to win the division, Jets to come second, Dave.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
No love
why-
for the
okay,
Dolphins here.
Okay,
It's
okay,
crazy.
yeah, I was gonna say because you do have a Dolphin option and a Bills option.
I take the Bills.
I mean, wait a second. The Bills outside of Coleman, the Bills locker room in the receiving court kind of looks like this panel.
You know what, though?
You're
I
convinced
disagree wholeheartedly. Dave, I love you like a brother. I'm just going to say getting Diggs out of there is a positive. I'm not sure if Coleman's going to wake up early.
That's another addition
Shakir's
by
good.
subtraction.
And no offense, Kincaid's one of the best tight ends in the league, and Knox is fine. And you know what? Allen, he's going to go absolutely wild. I know everyone's down on the
What about
Bills.
the
I might as well give the money to the
subtractions on-
homeless guy outside the beer store, but I'm taking Buffalo Bill again because I'm nuts. I love Buffalo Bill.
And the subtractions on defense.
Yeah, you know what, Dave? Their defense is concerning.
That's-
They're going to have to win games like 31-20, 34-31. Hey, I like the Jets too, Dave.
And Prince, when you're playing against teams that have the offensive weaponry of the Dolphins, that's going to be tough as well.
Yeah, I think I'm high on the Dolphins this year. Obviously, last year they were kind of looking that way, but they had a ton of injuries on defense. Tyreek missed a few games. Waddle was hurt. Tua openly said in an interview this week that they were actually actively looking for Tyreek Hill to get to 2,000 yards. So the fact that they're stat chasing, just how confident they are offensively, they put up 70 points in a game. We've never seen that, or at least I haven't seen that in quite some time. So I think the Dolphins, another thing that a lot of people haven't talked about, they can't play in the cold, right? Dolphins only have 3 outdoor games this season after November. So you keep them indoors, they get a high playoff seed, they get home playoff games. I think the Dolphins could be a team that makes it all the way to the Super Bowl.
You know what it is, Dave, with the Jets? I look at quarterback play and people are like, you're nuts to take the Bills. I'd rather have Allen. I don't know what Rodgers is going to do. I think he's amazing. He might get hurt, and I think Tua's regressing. He might, I'm going to tell you something. If he gets pumped, I already worry about this guy. His head's been
Where
scrambled.
were we last year at this
Yes.
exact same time? What was the only thing
People
we were
don't
talking
understand. This guy's hanging on by a thread. It's one of those situations where he can be good. He already called out Flores. He's like, this guy sucked and whatever. I guess he's happier now, but I have a lot of concerns with the Miami Dolphins, to be honest with you. And their defense broke down last year.
My thing with Aaron Rodgers is this. He has to be a step above a game manager. He does not have to be 2015 Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have to lead the NFL
QB
in
number
passing.
15.
Exactly. because they have so much
defense.
weaponry on offense. I mean, if they don't give Breece Hall the ball 25 plus times, whether it's rushing or receiving, then somebody should be fired on the offense.
Agreed.
Josh, what team are we missing from the conference that we haven't talked about so far?
Oh, geez, where were we? I did like the Bills. Back to Cam Singh. Like the Jets at the price, like Allen, obviously, over Rodgers in the spot. And I think that we get to the point where it's such a copycat league. I think Buffalo's kind of taking the idea of what Kansas City does. Like, let's just put the ball into Allen's hands. Yep. Don't care kind of who's dispersing the ball. Exactly. The system's better than the people who make it up in that sense. The Bengals, like,
Yep.
who's the only person that's, knocked off the Chiefs in the last while? This is a team that's, in the last 2 or 3 years, has gone to the championship game with one win versus Kansas City. Joe Burrow, if he can stay healthy, that's the biggest difference. He could win. So, that's where you are. You're like Josh Allen, Bills, MVP season for the run, or Joe Burrow, MVP season within that, because those are the two quarterbacks that are going to have to take their teams that far.
And Joe Burrow right now looks like Cody Rhodes, who is the world champion right now in the WWE. Prince, let's talk about the Chiefs here. I think we're missing the back-to-back championships, looking for a three-peat. Just a little bit. There's a little bit of a story there. Are we just not liking the Chiefs because it's too chalky chalk?
That's probably what it is. I think also history. No one's ever won 3 in a row. But last year, the Chiefs in the regular season looked pretty bad. Like, if there was a year for the Chiefs to not win, it was last year. It looked terrible in the regular season. Mahomes had statistically one of his worst years in his career. The whole Kelsey Swift hoopla was crazy. Everyone was really focusing on that and not the fact that Kelsey had one of his worst seasons.
And it's going to
continue
this year.
It's going to continue. But it's crazy to think that the Chiefs might actually be better this year, which is crazy.
I should just get on board.
You're not a Swiftie? You're not a Swiftie?
No, you know what? I hate them. I just don't like the team. I get it. I think Andy Reid's great. I think the Chiefs are amazing. I'm so sick and tired of them. I just want somebody to beat them. Hate everything about it.
Spags flying under the radar as everyone looks at Andy Reid as a mastermind, and Spags has basically done a lot within that team because everyone games plan versus that offense,
the vision
and then sneakily that defense comes in. But in the AFC, Buffalo maybe, Cincinnati has shown that they can do it, and I think maybe that. Did you see that game plan? Yeah. Right? That's it. And then maybe the Jets defense, maybe someone new within that conference can maybe solve the.
You know what? I think the Jets match up well against the Chiefs. That's the one thing they can do is get to the quarterback and just create, you just absolutely just pump. You put Mahomes on his ass every single play.
And as a Jets fan, if I were to watch a game in late January in Kansas City, I'd actually be fairly confident seeing that Jets defense in the cold in Kansas City. And I know a lot of people sit there and go, "You're stupid for saying."
No, you're not. I'd rather a stronger defense on the road in the cold than maybe a better offense in the cold.
You guys know defense travels.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's the way it works.
Yeah. That's where we move to the Super Bowl futures. So we've talked about conferences. A lot of this actually parlays to the Super Bowl numbers as well. Ken, we'll start with you. Give us a dark horse Super Bowl selection on your table.
The Cleveland Browns at 50-1. I know.
Wow.
Okay. Anyway, and I've been fired. See ya. Paychecks in the mail? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, that's you wanted a real dark horse day. I like Seattle too, but cut his mic. He can't talk anymore. That's my dark horse. Teams that I like your Jets, Bills, and Lions. If we're looking at chalk.
I'm there with you with the Lions. I also like the Jets as well as a dark horse. How fitting would it be for Aaron Rodgers to retire, go off into the sunset with the Super Bowl? I mean, there's no quarterback that I think gets more hate just for stuff he does off the field versus on the field than Aaron Rodgers. So to come into an offense, like you said, he doesn't need to be.
He sets it up himself, though.
He does, but some of it is
really do
unnecessary.
Much. And don't go on mushroom trips and tell everybody.
He does have some weird outside off the field behaviors, but like you said, he doesn't need to be the MVP quarterback he used to be. He just needs to be above average.
I'm not one to judge. You want to do psychedelics? I'm down with the program. The thing is, stop telling people about it. Just do it quietly at your own domicile. Don't need to go on Twitter and talk. Just play football.
2 pass, obviously, versus San Francisco versus Kansas City. The Lions can get through San Francisco. We saw that. The game got away from them. And I think the Eagles, they're and a hockey guy too, you got to take your lumps. You don't just go through that gauntlet, right? We're seeing that with the Eagles, obviously. They sat all season with that Tampa Bay loss, as we mentioned again. Changes in OC, changes in DC. A.J. Brown's going to have a big year. Jalen Hurts, like I said, was MVP runner until the wheels fell off, maybe an injury. And then add in Saquon in that spot. So that's a team that can play outdoors, can play indoors, are fast enough. Them at 14-1, Lions at 12-1 in the two pass, I think, in the NFC. And then I think we talked about it, defense travels. I'd rather kind of the Jets at that price than what I'd pay for Buffalo in sense. Like Buffalo to win the division, maybe like the Jets to go a little further.
Okay, let's talk about a team that, surprisingly, we really haven't talked about, because not only do they have arguably the best all-around running back in the league in Christian McCaffrey, they have a quarterback that is right in the top 5 in the MVP. They have a pretty good offensive line. They got a strong defense. They've been knocking on the Super Bowl door for the last couple of years, the San Francisco 49ers. But we don't have much love for the 49ers on this table. I know, Mason, you talked about a possibility of the 49ers in your conversation, but you guys haven't been really hot on the 49ers.
They're the best team in the division, David. Like, just give it to them. But the problem is, we watched their play. They were very lucky to go even to the Super Bowl, and very unlucky for us when they lost the Super Bowl, when a player gets hurt and we're just sitting there going, oh, here we go. The San Francisco 49ers, one of those teams, like, I look at the number and I'm like, I'm done. Like, all they do is disappoint in big situations. And you know what? They're obviously one of the best teams in the league. I don't like the number.
Prince, maybe they've learned by past mistakes.
Maybe they have. I was a little concerned about the Ayuk situation. It seems like he's going to stay there. The Niners, it seems like every year we're in a similar spot. They could win, and then they're always up and they lose in the Super Bowl, which is pretty crazy. So I have them as one of my best bets to win the Super Bowl, but the more I think about it, the less I like it. The other thing I realized was Christian McCaffrey. In the last 2 seasons, you include regular season and playoffs, 600 carries. So we talked about Tua hanging on by a thread.
He's due to get hurt.
Exactly. Like, you don't wish injuries on people. Obviously, we're in a fantasy league together, so I don't want to show my hand here. But Christian McCaffrey, I don't love. Like, I'd love to know the over-under on his game total. I don't know if he plays a full season. Shanahan's already talked about reducing his workload a little bit. They're not going to give him the ball as much as they have. There's some dysfunction in that receiving core with Ayuk wanting to leave and all that. So I love the Niners when we first broached this topic, and now the more I think about it, I hate the Niners.
Are they going to figure out Purdy?
He's fine.
I think
He's fine.
I like Brock Purdy. I liked him in school. He should have been a 7th round pick.
What's the backup, the old Green Bay quarterback who now plays Madden, who's on social all the time? Kurt
Bennick, something like that.
Yes, I know you're talking about, yes.
So he talks
has
about
the
it,
quarterback
and
videos, yes.
Yeah, and he shows his footwork. He knows his read. He knows a difficult offensive system, which Kyle Shanahan's system is. But in the same spot, we've watched a lot of their football late in the winter months. And have we really been impressed with some of the late play calling or what Kyle Shanahan's doing within that team? I think we're 1 year away, one more playoff away before we might be.
This is their last window, in my opinion. Like they're done after this year.
Trouble there. But I think this is the thing with all these great teams. Finding a spot to fade them. It's not right now, I don't think, because they start off at home versus the Jets, at Minnesota, at the Rams, versus New England, and versus Arizona. Right? That could be an easy run there. What's that? They could, but then they'll run off 4 wins straight versus Vikes, Rams, Patriots, and Cards. If you're looking for a spot to fade them, and maybe like a live win total, maybe after week 5 in that spot where things get a little more difficult.
Anybody interested in the Falcons plus 3,000?
You are, Dave.
No. Defense. No, the defense is tough, right? That's it. That's a hard thing.
That would be everything.
What'd you say, 3,000?
Plus 3,000. That would be every piece of the puzzle fits exactly for the Atlanta Falcons.
They can get home field with that crap division.
Well, that's the thing,
They can
right?
roll the table, and then who knows if Cousins stays healthy.
Again, no love for the Baltimore Ravens at plus 1,000. There's nobody at this table that is on board with Derrick Henry taking the workload off of Lamar Jackson, and you guys can't.
Nope. After that game versus Kansas City, Ron Raven, he's flown out the door, and I never want to talk to him again. They're dead to me, that team.
I'd rather the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's a real bird, baby.
66.
Value bird.
Provoking him.
I love you.
The Colts at 60-1 is like in that spot. Not
a lot of positive birds. Eagles, Seahawks. There we go, Dave. Falcons. It's a bird. You need a bird.
You're more of a cat guy, not a.
But the Seahawks at 67-1 and the Raiders at 81. Like those, there should be a lot more separation between those clubs. And Seattle's only going to get shorter if they come out of the gates with Mike Badal.
Who do you like? Jets? You're Frank Falcon and Johnny Jet?
Imagine with a payout on a Jets Falcon finalist.
No, we got to do something. Honestly, those are wicked bets. I don't know if you guys do this. You know the old exact order? It's like an exacta box in horse racing. Yes, you can,
absolutely.
Dave. You can bet on anything.
But they're probably at that point, that's at just 100-1. You know, where you get to the 100-1 and they don't go any further. So you're like, you might as well just take them.
It's after that Super Bowl where Seattle first plays safety. The books changed after that when people bought.
Just get Atlanta to win and then hedge in the Super Bowl versus the other team. Yeah.
MVP talk. Patrick Mahomes seems to have his name engraved partially on it, but nobody on this panel has him because we're not chalky chalk. So let's talk about some dark horse MVP candidates.
I'm going with Jared Goff because I'm all in with the Lions. I think Goff is disrespected. I think this Lions team is good. You want to give it to a quarterback, and I think his number's insane. I know a lot of people like Love for chalk, Dave. I'm going to go with Josh Allen. I think those are the two bets I'm making: Josh Allen and Jared Goff.
Prince, you're up.
I'm going to go dark horse Tua here. I know we talked about it. Not a lot of love for the Dolphins on this panel. They don't have a lot of outdoor games later in the year. You got a healthy Tyreek. You got Jalen Waddle. You got a decent run game. Not an exceptional run game, but enough that they can get by. They always get hurt, so it seems like Tua's going to have to carry the load for this team. 25-1. I'm going to take Tua. You never know. This division, I think, is going to be one of the more intriguing ones in football. 3 teams and the Patriots. That's going to be a good division, but I'm going to go Tua as a dark horse.
We don't get to hear that too often. I mean, the last 2 decades.
I can't wait till we talk about the Chiefs like the Patriots. Exactly.
It's back to the Steve Grogan years.
I know. Neck brace? Wrestler.
Fire away, Josh.
What do you want? You want
come on, Josh, give it to me.
Even money or plus 1,000, plus 1,000 to 2,000, or above 2,000?
Whatever you want.
You know what?
Name a few.
Longest shot.
Give us everything over plus 1,500.
Chalkiest one, Allen, right? Because I think the supporting role
plus 900. Sports.
Ooh, that's a good number.
Exactly. So
good number, Dave.
Supporting roles down. It's going to be his season. It's going to be, like I said, what they're trying to do with Mahomes. You're going to win it. In the middle, Philadelphia, Hurts. I mean, like I said, he was the betting favorite before the collapse last year, and then me and Cam are on the same page. And Goff 25-1.
I love Goff.
But like I said, he has his OC. 14 games indoors. The guy doesn't miss games, and that's what you need from a guy. If they win 12 games, 13 games, win the number 1 seed, all of a sudden 25-1 looks pretty good.
What do you guys think about super dark horses, Richardson or Cousins? Anything there, Dave? I know you're Frank Falcon. This guy's on Penix at 100-1. That's a good bet.
Right? Yeah.
No, MVP would be more like 250.
That's a lottery ticket. Yeah.
So the market, 7 of the last 10 MVPs have been quarterbacks. Are we going off the board and rolling the dice on a CMC plus 5,000? Or are we looking at a defensive player? Or is this just going to be a quarterback award, Jingles?
You're trying to look across at the numbers here. A-Rich at 35-1. If they do something, all of a sudden, if Indy comes out and wins 10, 11 games, you're like, okay, it's probably because of him.
Cousins 4,000.
40-1, yeah.
Yep.
I don't mind that number, actually.
Tyreek, if you're going somewhere and Tyreek Hill puts up 2,000 yards, it's going to be tough for him not to get it, right? And that's 75-1.
Wow, what a number.
That's a gigantic number, right? I like his situation at 75-1 better than Justin Jefferson at 100-1.
Okay, let me throw this at you guys then. This is a regular season award, so everybody should know that once the regular season is over, it stops. What about a person that finished 4th in voting last year? In the last 3 weeks of the season, he was actually one of the heavy favorites. He has an outstanding receiving core, and he has a running back that catches the ball, and it's about the regular season, and it's about Brock Purdy at plus 1,600. Are you buying or selling an opportunity at plus 1,600 on a regular season MVP award from Brock Purdy?
I just think there's too many better guys, Dave. I'd rather take my shot with Goff at that number, and we're on the same page with Allen. You know what? Purdy's great. I just don't want him.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with that too. I think, like we said, I don't see Christian McCaffrey playing this entire season, just given the workload he's had over the last 2 years. So you take him out of that offense. I don't think Purdy's the same quarterback when he can't just dump it off to one of the greatest running backs we've ever seen. So not loving Purdy at that number.
It's going to sound chalky. I know we're staying away from it, but system quarterback. No, but it's
a good system.
It's a great system. But that's where the debate's going to be. How much is it Kyle Shanahan? How much is it with Brock Purdy, right? Who was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs who finally got his job?
Bieniemy.
Yeah, Bieniemy. We're the same thing. They're like, why doesn't he keep getting jobs? Well, because here's the system within it. Like he lost his
Dave, can you give me Geno Smith at 500 to 1?
No, because I'll take.
It's only 100 to 1.
What I'll do with that money, and before we conclude
Give it
this,
to the homeless guy?
this we're gonna take that money from Geno Smith and throw it into the Joe Burrow plus 900 MVP conversation.
So, okay, if you got to go here or there, are you going Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? Like if you get to choose one of those two, where are you going?
I'm going Joe Burrow.
Allen.
Ooh.
It's great. No, they're both good.
Do they play each other this year?
The Bengals play the Bills? I'm not sure if they do.
They do. I
Every
know.
season, all year, if all those guys start every game, you got to go Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I think they scale back Josh Allen in the red zone a bit,
That's a good call.
right? And like, I don't know, 10, 12.
Yeah, they lost Mixon too, so they're gonna have to supplement that in the red zone. So yeah, I don't know.
That big arm of Cody Rhodes in the Bengals offensive field. I like it. Let's wrap
it up on wrestling talk.
Let's wrap this up on the extras. So first off, I asked you guys to give me some extras. So we're talking about team to make the playoffs, coach of the year, passing yards leader, receiving yards leader. Josh, we'll start off with you.
Fantastic. I forgot everything I said.
what-
Let's go.
Well, I can tell you one thing you've said to us many times, and you have Cam very excited about it.
Coach of the year?
It's a Mike McDonald Coach of the Year at plus
Sure.
2,000.
And it's such a funny market because winning 13 games doesn't guarantee you Coach of the Year. It's like, well, your team's crap. You need that team that was not good to be good. It's 20 to 1. I mean, I'll take it at 20 to 1.
Steichen or McDonald, Dave? Those are my two Coach of the Year bets.
And they wanted to give it to Steichen last year until kind of the wheels fell off too there at the end, and he was right up there. So yeah, I think those are two great picks in that area. I'm not going out there and laying chalk with anybody in Chicago. That's for damn sure.
Prince, you and me are going head to head on the passing leaders. You have Tua to lead at plus 850. I have Dak Prescott at plus 750, just because of the lack of production they'll have behind him. He's going to be forced to throw the ball. So as a passing leader, that's why I have it. Why do you like Tua in that category?
Well, I think we both have two offenses where you could have a receiver for over almost 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill are right there. The fact that Tua openly stated they were trying to get Tyreek to 2,000 makes me think they're going to try it again this year. Then you add in, obviously, you have Jalen Waddle, who was not super healthy last year. He comes back. Tua's talking about, getting the shoulder, getting his pressure off his shoulders with the Brian Flores stuff, which I thought was crazy, by the way. It's Tua plus 850. I think it's between one of these two guys, just given how.
He called Flores a bad human being.
You hear the stuff Flores was saying to him, though.
Not just like a bad
He really
coach.
means something else.
But you saw what Flores was saying to him, too, right? Like, obviously, some people will criticize, oh, he's sensitive, all this and that. But when you have someone telling you you're not fit for the NFL, you shouldn't be here. Now that that's off your back, I think this is a prove-it year. I've been talking a lot about Tua in this episode, but I believe passing yards. MVP was a long shot. I think passing yards is more
What's
of a slam
Campbell,
dunk
Dave?
play.
What's Campbell?
Yeah, Campbell would probably.
They probably,
be in that
if
conversation.
Detroit does well, they're probably
Yeah.
going to give it to Campbell. He's popular too,
And
right?
the thing is with Dan Campbell, though, if Detroit doesn't do well, Dan Campbell might be part of Black Monday
You're absolutely correct.
because they might look at a situation in Detroit going, you know what? We have the horses,
Yep.
but we don't have the trainer behind the horses that needs to lead. We
You
need a
need good
change
connections,
of
Dave. I used to own a horse
That's
until he broke his hoof.
I could imagine what type of horse that was. Gentlemen, final thoughts on the upcoming season, either a statement or something you like more than anything else out of everything we've kind of talked about. Josh, we'll start with you.
I'll keep going on the Penix train because it's just one injury or one tough schedule spot for Kirk Cousins, who, like I said, hasn't even thrown the ball yet with his new team. From jumping in there to the top three in basically every market for all leaders and rookies, including Rookie of the Year. And I'm actively rooting against Pittsburgh this year, and I can't wait for Mike Tomlin to finally not win 500 games. I know people keep losing money on it every year, but you add Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith to this situation in Pittsburgh, and our buddy Joe Cool now that's healthy. Like, that division's like it's going to be ugly. Like, come on, Pittsburgh, get out of here.
Prince, you're up.
How many games do you think Russell Wilson starts before they bring in Fields?
There's a really funny thing. So, like, if you look at the highest scoring offense or the lowest scoring offense, which is a fun market to bet, I think they're bottom 4. But to have the worst record, I think they're in the middle of the pack at like 30-1 for Pittsburgh. And like that's something you would
Their
look.
defense is still good.
I know, but that's it. That's the only thing going. Like, are they going to win games with it? Probably not with Russell Wilson, who can't throw over the middle. But at week 5, could be the easiest. You see Justin Fields. Like, why not roll the dice if they start 1-4?
Prince, talk to me. What do you got?
This is going to be a fun year for rookies. I think we have so many rookies, quarterbacks, not a lot of running backs, mostly receivers, some defensive players. I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels in Washington, Caleb Williams in Chicago, Bo Nix in Denver.
Yes.
You know, that might be fun to watch too. Drake May in New
And
England.
it would have been J.J. McCarthy.
That too, yeah, I know.
Very disappointing.
That was on my card here before that happened. And then you have Marvin Harrison in Arizona, Malik Neighbors. I think it's going to be a fun year for rookies, and this could be this draft class we look back on 5-10 years from now and go, wow, this is the current state of the NFL.
Cam?
The Saints are going to reek as hard as the Patriots, under 7.5. And I'm sorry, I like to party in New Orleans, but your team blows. That's my opinion.
That's
Dave.
your-
Oh,
Imagine getting your heart broken by Derek Carr.
if they win 8 games, I told you I'm in big trouble. I'm Dave's new tenant.
This has been a lot of fun. I'll conclude with this. The Jets plus 2,000 to win the Super Bowl is something I can't wait to cash in February. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very bold, Dave. Very bold.